Good afternoon on what is a warm, overcast and occasionally bright and sunny day. It is Friday the 15th of July and I'm going to read Nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to continue delving into. Now, I pulled out quite a few things from this in the past few days, so that includes, let's have a look, pull them all out. So, Homeworld Revelations, Quick Start, Level 1, Volume 3, a Strange Light Breaks for the Iron Kingdoms, a Familiar Problem, Skitter Warp for Starfinder, Bridge the Dirger Cult, part of the Epic Encounters series, Fistful of Flowers for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the Three Wizard Conundrum for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition for Goodman Games, Curse of the Dreadmarsh Crew, again another Dungeons & Dragons adventure, but this time from Lake Battle Mats, the Talon Hill Quick Start for Root the Role-Playing Game from Magpie Games, and Cyberpunk Red Easy Mode, new Quick Start for that, which leaves one last item in my box, and it is this. Danger in the Air, Dungeon Crawl Classics, the 2022 free RPG module, a Level 0 adventure by Michael Curtis. Now, Goodman Games has been very assiduous in its support of free RPG Day over the years, primarily providing things like quick starts of Dungeon Crawl Classics, which would often be sort of like the same adventure or a different adventure, maybe something for Mutant Crawl Classics as well occasionally. But it's branched out a little bit more in recent years. This year, for example, it gave another adventure for Dungeons & Dragons. But with this, it gives an actually a complete new single short adventure for Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's retro clone that draws on various aspects of Dungeons & Dragons throughout its various editions. So, Danger in the Air. A giant alien creature drifts into the air high above the homes of simple villagers. Its transparent skin rife with wounds. A structure is visible within its great bell-shaped body, and the glitter of treasure sparkles beyond the crack in one wall. The creature hangs in the sky, unmoving as if slain, and a trickle of coins slowly drops through its ravaged body. What other treasures and terrors might this strange visitor from elsewhere possess, and who in the village is brave enough to venture within its otherworldly form? So, these are the sort of play characters that you play. Ordinary folk. So ordinary, they don't even have a level. They're 0 level characters. And as 0 level characters, you're going to go and have an adventure. And if you survive, you will gain enough experience points to rise to first level, acquire a class, and all of its benefits. Now, because 0 level characters are fairly flimsy, as it were, and fragile, you play 4 of them. And the whole point of you playing through a scenario as 0 level characters is as a character funnel. It's to put all these characters, 4 per player, through this funnel and see who survives. And every adventure is brutal and dangerous, more so because of the lack of hit points, and you're really relying mostly upon your luck and dice rolls. They are a feature of both Mutant Crawl Classics and Dungeon Crawl Classics. You essentially play 0 level characters to see who survive. The ones that survive become the player characters, and it becomes a bit of a badge of honour to see whether or not you can play through the whole of a character funnel and lose all of your characters, hopefully in a spectacular fashion, or even survive with all 4. I've done both. So what we've got in here is we have essentially a quick frontispiece showing a bit more artwork before we get into the introduction. and the setup, and even got a QR code for even if you want more. If you want sample 0 level characters to run with this, make it even easier to play. And there's an even nice piece about essentially the inspirations for this scenario, because like almost every other iterations of Dungeons and Dragons, it has an Appendix N, much like Dungeons and Dragons, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition had. A source of books and films upon which inspired it. This is the Appendix N for this adventure, and then we have starting the adventure, how to get inside, and then level 1. Maybe it looks fairly text heavy. I mean, you don't. I mean, there isn't a map until this point here, so you sort of find out what's sort of going on, and it's really just sort of like a series of sort of conical structure, 3 different levels, 3 different rooms, and you're exploring them one by one, and you can see just how much detail each of the singular rooms has. I mean, there's a lot of attention paid to each one, giving them a lot of flavour and feel, and even have sort of like a strange encounter illustrated there. And even have sort of like the designer's notes thrown in as well, which is surprising given a scenario of this length. So the scenario itself actually really is really just that. It's barely 8 pages long, but you do have the appendix, a new magical item. You've got obviously the license there, and then the rest of it is really advertising. That's no bad thing. Basically this is designed to sell the game as much as entertain existing players of the game, because there are lots of devotees of this game. So you basically got a map of basically sort of not a map, an advert sort of like some of the classic titles for the Dungeon Crawl Classics, and also Mutant Crawl Classics, and also Dungeon Crawl Classics the Lankmar box set, which is very fine indeed. Mutant Crawl Classics, and then the Empire of the East campaign as well. So there's a lot in here, and then just an advert for the Dungeon Crawl Classics sort of line, and being a judge and that sort of thing in the community. So this is intended to be playable in about a session. I think it's probably the amount of detail that comes from it. It probably means it plays a bit longer than one single session. In our experience, I don't know that we were particularly dallying or messing about very much, but we were being careful, and we had most of us did survive it, and it was a fun adventure to play. And like all Dungeon Crawl Classics scenarios, it kind of delivers a degree of fantasy and weirdness in one package, sort of like you typically outer planar weirdness, the things to do with the doings of wizards and gods and devils and that sort of thing. This very much plays upon sort of like the outer planar weirdness angle of the implied setting, because there is no one particular setting for Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's designed to fit the campaign of your world, but yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this, because you always kind of do with the Dungeon Crawl Classics funnel, because essentially what you're doing is you're attempting to survive, and it sounds like it's going to be challenging to play more than 4 characters, but it's not, because very quickly you hook on. You focus on sort of like the salient features of your character, what they own. The cheesemaker. One of my characters, the cheesemaker, had some stinky cheese, and so on. One of my characters was an urchin, which led to hilarious. She was an adventure urchin eventually. And as you become attached to them, because you assign them, various aspects and personalities, and then you can make connections between them and also with the other player characters, and you really kind of feel a bit sad when they're lost, when they die, and it does happen. But anyway, this you know, this is a fun little character funnel for Dungeon Crawl Classics, and hopefully you will be able to get hold of this on our Free RPG Day. So Free RPG Day took place on June 25th in the United States. You may well be able to find copies of these and the other releases for that day lurking around. It takes place on July 23rd here in the United Kingdom and internationally, and it's thanks to David Salisbury at Fanboy 3 in Manchester that I actually have access to this and nearly all of the releases for Free RPG Day, which I can unbox and write about to the best extent of my knowledge. Without his generosity, I would not be able to do any of these unboxings, and I would not be able to do any of the subsequent reviews. So thank you very much, David. And I'm going to say, basically, if you are at all in Manchester and you are in need of a good game shop, Fanboy 3 is a good game shop. Great stock of board games. I'm always amazed at what's available on the shelf, and then, you know, really packed but fully stocked shelf of role-playing games. And every time I've been in, I've always come away with my wallet lighter and my gaming bags full of interesting content, which I want to bring to the table or write about. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you want to comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the where you'll see me out here with a box and a book or game, which I will pull out and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. Be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.